But I do understand that the governor will now have on his desk to sign a bill passed by the legislature to allow speed cameras to be put up across this state. Speeding is, of course, dangerous. Reckless driving is even more dangerous. But gullible dopes actually will think out there today that the speed cameras are going up and that the fine will be held at $40. Gullible, really dopey people will think that the primary reason that speed cameras initially, not that many will be deployed, are being put into Maryland in order to save lives. Now, if I knew for a fact that the cameras, for instance, were only going to be used in construction areas when people go flying through those things, despite the fact that there may be a state police car at one end or another, that would be something different. But the reason, and you never would have gotten these if Bob Ehrlich had been the governor, by the way, the reason Martin O'Malley will gladly sign that today, then with a straight look on his face get up and say this is really just about saving lives. The real reason for the speed cameras is the same reason for the red light cameras in Baltimore and other jurisdictions, same reason for the speed cameras in Washington, D.C. and in Montgomery County. It's all about revenue. Public safety comes second. So now, another big legislative win for the forces of raising more revenue in a kind of a hidden tax out of the taxpayer's pocketbook. Now, Norm, I would say, look, if you're running, 70 degrees and 70 miles an hour in a 40-mile-an-hour zone, whatever, 45-mile-an-hour zone, you ought to pay the ticket. You should have to pay the ticket. And by the way, you ought to get points too. But this isn't going to be a situation where you get points. They're just going to send you a citation, maybe $40 now. Before you know it, it'll be $100. They're raising millions this way in Washington. And what the camera does, or what it will eventually do, is if you're on a road that's 45 miles an hour and you're going 55 and there's nobody around, you don't even realize in today's automobiles that you're going 55, or that's what the small flow of traffic may be doing, you're going to get a ticket. Won't have anything to do with safety at all. It'll have to do with raising funds, just like that idiot dynamometer. There's no need for that in the state of Maryland. New Jersey's done away with theirs. You could do away with it in Maryland, too. But then again, they'd lose revenue. Primarily, the auto emission standards are being done at all these different stations around here. That's all about revenue as well. So, as was the title of an editorial yesterday in the Washington Times that I'll pass along to you now, dysfunction continues in Annapolis. But you, the voters of this state, are the architects of the dysfunction. I'd like to blame it on all those liberals from Prince George's and Montgomery County and Baltimore City, where they vote to the left on anything. And in Baltimore City, that delegation is more interested in getting money out of your pocket than they are putting money into pockets or into the till in the Treasury. This editorial ran yesterday, and we'll pass it along to you, then we'll go to our break. 1 week from tonight in Annapolis, the General Assembly ends its regular 2008 session, during which Governor Martin O'Malley and the legislature have done everything possible to hit law-abiding Marylanders with more taxes and regulations while leaving the state a more welcoming place for illegal aliens and criminal felons. I'm going to repeat that. This is what you Democrat voters have done, and those of you who vote for rubber-leg Republicans. After this session of the legislature, including that bogus session that they held in November, well, it wasn't bogus, it was actual. The reason for it was bogus. Marylanders are being left with more taxes, more regulations, and the state is a more welcoming place, and I defy any Democrat liberal who's a member of that legislature listening in now to call me and tell me that it's not a more welcoming place for illegal aliens and criminal felons. Speak right up, delegate. Speak right up, Senator. You know what the numbers are. We won't hear from them. The General Assembly has had time to consider whether to declare walking the official state exercise, that's a big one, is walking our official state exercise, and to impose crushing new regulatory burdens on private enterprises like a mandated 25% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, whatever the threat to the private sector jobs. Lawmakers discussed whether to create an outdoor exemption for Baltimore County restaurants to the smoking ban. A Senate committee rejected a proposal to do this. An outdoor. Can't even go outside and smoke a cigar. And thanks to the General Assembly, more jurisdictions will soon be able to put up speed cameras known on this show for years as revenue traps. In fact, I think the writer of this editorial, I think I know who it is, and he probably was thinking of me when he put that line revenue trap in there. I don't think it. I don't know it for a fact, but I pretty much know it. These revenue traps to shellac otherwise law-abiding Marylanders who try to keep up with the flow of traffic in places where posted speed limits are unrealistically low. Now, let me tell you something, listeners. They're going to keep them unrealistically low. I know the mentality of the bosses down there. The word will go down to keep them artificially low. We'll get more money in the till. With the speed cameras, you wait and see. Then there are serious issues, like fixing the mess that the governor and the General Assembly made at last fall's special session. O'Malley and Senate President Mike Miller both say they want to get rid of the 6% tax on computer services that's prompted angry warnings from businesses about moving to Virginia. But that's not the way that big Mike Miller felt about it at first. Not at all. He was all for it. Jiminy Christmas. How'd you like to draw that pair in a game? Mike Miller and Martin O'Malley. How about three of a kind? Mike Miller, Martin O'Malley, and Michael Bush. Whew, would make you want to quit a card game forever. The problem is that the politicians insist on making up any lost revenue, you guessed it, not by cutting spending, but by imposing higher taxes on the most wealthy. For example, the most productive Marylanders. Another way of chasing jobs right across the Potomac into Virginia. The General Assembly's action is being well received in Richmond, by the way, where Senator Ken Sinelli, a Fairfax Republican, Ken Sinelli, a Fairfax Republican, released an open letter to the computer companies urging them to, you guessed it, folks, relocate in Virginia where the business climate is less hostile. And by the way, Maryland's now getting a reputation throughout the entire country as being hostile to business. And you know why they're getting that reputation? Because they sure as hell are. While productive Americans are being pushed out of the state, Maryland continues to be a welcoming place for lawbreakers. And that is specifically because of the new governor, Michael Bush, and Mike Miller. Maryland continues to be a welcoming place for lawbreakers. Legislation requiring that Marylanders present proof that they are legally in the country in order to receive certain welfare benefits, you guessed it, it was killed by your representatives in Annapolis, as was the bill that would have reduced state funding for sanctuary cities. And a bill denying good time credits to violent sexual predators is apparently dead as well. Thank you, Chairman Valerio. But the legislature did appoint commissions. Yes, there is now a commission to study the death penalty. And there is a commission to study illegal immigration in Maryland. This fine editorial says, given the political leanings of the politicians appointing them, we fully expect the panels to be packed with people who will tell us that capital punishment is always wrong. That's exactly what's going to happen. And that the recent influx of illegals, lawbreakers, is an economic boon to the state of Maryland. That's exactly what they'll show. Or they'll say it's a wash. When anybody with a thimbleful of common sense knows that with the invaders here, the illegal law-breaking invaders, crime rates have gone up, more taxes are being sucked up, and real Marylanders who work hard and do such things as bricklaying are being cut out of jobs, while 17 people are living in a house somewhere in Baltimore County while County Executive Jim Smith looks the other way. Unbelievable.